Angela, we were asking where you are, and you said you are institutionalized, and I'm going to guess it was Tim Scott's speech that put you over the edge.
Yeah, we're just having a little disagreement about what sanity is right now, me and the doctors.
Listen, I defended you. I know he meant you when he said some progressives have called me an Uncle Tom, and I said Frangela did not. They just were defending him on how good the biscuits are in the big house, as opposed.
That's right. You can't make a better biscuit than Tim Scott, okay?
No. While tap dancing?
Thank you, Francis. Thank you.
Yeah.
Plus, this man, his opening act at the Vaudevillian show is amazing.
How about hashtag justice is in some cases coming, in some cases here this morning? Glenn Kirshner talking about the pattern and practices, investigations into police departments that Ahmaud Arbery's killers are right, and they were ready to come after Chauvin on civil rights charges if he was not convicted. That these people are going to keep paying, right? Justice. There is justice in the Justice Department again, right?
Again, this is what I voted for. This is what we made. We sent out postcards for. This is why you were phone banking every weekend. This is why we went out and marched. Is for these types of things.
Yep. Yeah. We're just so battered that we didn't. For a minute, I think we all thought we couldn't have them.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. The vice president. I mean, first of all, I can't. When they post the picture of the little black girl going into the segregated school next to Kamala Harris walking into the State of the Union, I can't. I just have tears. But I mean, just that tableau, right, of Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris was.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was feeling it. It was giving me life the entire. I was like, look at this. This has never happened before.
I know.
I know the elbow bumps. And it's two women and a woman of color.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And someone just really did a really great thread about, could you imagine for the next 240 years that we only elect women?
Oh, hello.
And that there are no men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, how would men respond to that?
I like that somebody's little girl reacted by saying, why don't the women get to talk? They're already over the whole thing about there's two women. They're like, no, okay. Yeah, and Joy Reid will have Hillary Clinton on today. Who should be? It should have been three women.
Good morning.
Oh,
everyone.
hi, Dana Goldberg. I saw you tweeted. What did that mean to you as a gay American? When he said LGBT, right? And I stand with you, trans people. I was just tearing up so many times last night.
Yeah, it's just so nice to have that start to become a normal thing from our president, and to say the trans youth, I have your back. It's immeasurable, that sort of thing, coming from one of the highest powers, the highest office in the land. It's interesting, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done with these states' laws, at some point with an executive order that they're trying to, take back, take away the rights for healthcare, take away the rights for sports, take away the rights for all those things. It'll be interesting to see what steps are also taken other than just lip service, but usually when Joe says something, he backs it up. So I think this is the beginning of something big.
Can I ask a personal favor, people? Stop posting the picture of the little black girl going into the segregated school next to a picture of Kamala Harris. Just when I stopped crying. They had her walking into the school and then right next to Kamala Harris walking into the State of the Union. It's just what that visual moment meant to little girls everywhere, right?
Absolutely. And to have the two women behind Joe Biden, during the speech, and I'll be happy when it's three. I'll be happy when there's a woman up front and two in the back.
Yeah, should have been Hillary. That's not important now. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on from that. Absolutely. Yep. No.
Jane, I've been talking about this letter just because as it relates to COVID, and those of us that lived through the AIDS crisis, I lost my first love of my life to AIDS. And so Jason in El Cajon, California said, Steph, a neighbor of mine told me all the reasons she doesn't want to get the vaccine, not 100%, altered DNA. Okay, nonsense, blah. I wanted to blurt out 40 years. That's how long my gay friends and I have waited for an AIDS vaccine. I happily drove 75 miles to a different county to get my COVID vaccine. I didn't care which one I got. 3 weeks later, I did it again for my second dose. I hear all the excuses not to get the vaccine when we should be grateful to get it within a year of the pandemic starting. I lost everyone I knew in the 80s and 90s to AIDS, all my friends and 2 boyfriends, and you don't want to get the COVID vaccine because you have some doubts or you read something on Facebook, whatever. I walk around my neighborhood and see all the Blue Lives Matter flags and Trump flags now appropriately faded and tattered. One Trump house around the corner is where a medical helicopter nurse and her husband live. They just got COVID. Greed, ignorance, and misinformation is going to kill us all. I hadn't heard anyone else put it in the specter of the AIDS crisis. But, I was saying that Dr. Fauci, in the midst of working on the AIDS crisis, was asked, what's your worst nightmare? And he described COVID, basically. He said a disease that is spread through the air, highly infectious and asymptomatically.
And that's the thing, is that people are like, oh, it's, this is an emergency use vaccine. This is too soon. It's just came out. This didn't just come out. They've been working on this for years.
Yeah.
They finally got the funding they needed. They've been waiting for one of these to go deadly. And the cold is a coronavirus, the common cold. And now it has shifted into this. This is what they have been waiting for. This is what they do for a living. This isn't a new idea. It just happens to be an emergency funded idea.
Right.
Get the vaccine.
Right. Here's another, Michael in Paso Robles. Steph, this is my dad's running mate. Something about Goldwater that shows that he might be better than modern Republicans was that in the 64 campaign, I remember this, one of Johnson's closest advisors was caught in a compromising position with another man. And Goldwater showed no interest in trying to make a campaign issue out of it, nor did he ever show any interest in any anti-gay demagoguery, a far cry from modern conservatives, especially the religious ones who seem to think Jesus spoke of little else. Of which he said actually nothing about homosexuality. But
that's because the religious right didn't take its roots until Reagan.
There was a story about my dad, Dana, when he was chairman of the RNC, that there was a guy that was, you can't even imagine this today. He was arrested for a DUI. It was a seat my dad really needed to win, and it was a Democrat that was arrested for DUI. My dad said, no, he's a good man. I know him. I knew his wife. I know his kids. We're not going to use that. That's a DUI. Can you imagine? Right? So it's just... Yeah. I don't know what including Tim Scott, who basically said I got pulled over 7 times in a year and I've been called the N-word, but there's no racism in the Republican part. I mean,
I just don't understand it to use someone as a mouthpiece like this and for him to go along with it. I just listen. I don't understand the blindness in that. It'd be me like saying that there's no homophobia in this country anymore because we have marriage equality. It's just not true.
Yeah. I'm not going to say a word. Just go, Glenn. Go. Justice is coming. Justice is coming. It's almost here. Hit me.
Yeah. So here's a couple of things about Rudy.
Yes.
I saw the reporting last night. I think it was on Lawrence O'Donnell's show, where we now also know that individuals who were actively working these nefarious schemes with Rudy Giuliani at the same time were working covertly with criminal investigators, federal investigators. So, of course, Lordy, there will be tapes.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine having covert sources into Rudy Giuliani every day when he was engaged in this crazy, criminal, reckless nonsense that he was pulling? I mean, Rudy is so done. And, Rudy's not exactly a man of honor. Yeah. He will be flipping on Bill Barr. He will be flipping on Don Jr. He will be flipping on Donald Trump. So, hold on tight.
All those kind words about Trump Sr. yesterday about him. That seems like that might change in a hurry. I don't even know where to start. How many layers, as a prosecutor, Glenn, how many layers of dumb are both the Matt Gaetz, Joel Greenberg written confession and everything Rudy Giuliani has said and done in the last couple of days? How dumb?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Prosecutors like stupid criminals. There are a lot of very sharp criminals that we either have a hard time getting a hold of and pulling into the system, or frankly, a lot of people get away with a lot of crime.
Right.
But when guys are as dumb and as reckless, and I don't mean, I feel bad saying dumb, but when you're as reckless as Matt Gaetz, when you're as reckless as Rudy Giuliani, you know, that's like shooting criminal fish in a barrel. You know, these guys were always going to get got.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of putting in place a law-abiding attorney general to get after them.
Well, that's the main thing you tweeted, Glenn, which is true. You said the Bill Barr free lunch for Donald Trump associates is dead as of today. And you're right. They knew this. And you're right. I don't know if it's dumb, Glenn. It's a combination of, just arrogance. I don't even know what, right? That they just never thought they would get caught. They've gotten away with so much, and they just, and you can tell even now they don't think they're going down, right? I mean, if you saw Rudy, I mean, I can't imagine being his attorney, right? He's doing his radio show, he's doing interviews. I mean, and just saying one more, incriminating thing after another, right?
And here's the next thing we're going to have to contend with. Does Rudy Giuliani have a pocket pardon? Is that part of the reason he's still thumping his empty chest, his heartless chest, and talking like he's not going to be held accountable? Think about this. Criminals covet pardons. Criminals are willing to pay for pardons. Donald Trump is somebody who was never one to forego a good grift. Do we really think, Steph, at the end of his presidency, as he began to completely unravel, as he was desperate for funds because he is at the bottom of every financial hole imaginable, do we really think he had the self-restraint not to start selling pardons like candy? Yeah. Of course not. Do you know how many pardons there must be out there for cabinet members, criminal associates, Trump family members? They're going to start pulling these pardons out when they need them. I'm concerned that Giuliani has a pocket pardon. The next question becomes, does Merrick Garland challenge corruptly delivered pardons in court? And I would bet a buck the answer is yes.
I just was going to say, Glenn, is that legal, what you're talking about? And how could it possibly be, if so? I mean,
so there is no legal requirement that a presidential pardon must be disclosed publicly in order to be valid. And because there is no such law or constitutional requirement, we know Donald Trump sold a rack of pardons. He just did. I'm sure of it.
That leads me to, obviously, I guess we know from the letter that Joel Greenberg did not get a pardon and Matt Gaetz did not get a pardon, do we think?
Joel Greenberg didn't. It looks like Matt Gaetz, given the reporting that broke yesterday, where Roger Stone was acting as his, de facto attorney, what could possibly go wrong? It looks like Matt Gaetz does not have a pardon, even though he tried to get one. Joel Greenberg obviously doesn't have one because he's been charged. He's been indicted. Yeah. He was pending trial in June until he finally gave up the ghost and decided to flip against Gaetz and others.
Right.
So no, but Giuliani, I would bet my own money he's got a pardon.
That is infuriating. You also chimed in on you said search warrants 101. A federal judge reviewed the evidence in support of the DOJ's application for a search warrant, concluded there's probable cause to believe there is evidence of a crime in Giuliani's home, office, and electronic devices. I mean, tell us about Bill Barr and all this, because the fact that these investigations, Gaetz and Giuliani, started under Barr, and yet he also was clearly blocking and trying to slow down and impede at least the Giuliani investigation. I don't know about the Gaetz investigation as well. What is Bill Barr's complicity in all this? And,
so in DC,
is he involved in Justice is Coming, is my point in the hashtag. Will justice also be coming?
In DC, we call this playing the 50s, where he's got 1 foot in one camp, 1 foot in another. So he'll open an investigation. He'll allow prosecutors to open an investigation, and then he'll begin to squirrel it.
But it must have been bad for him to.
It's must have been really. Okay. For Gaetz, it must have been horrible, and it looks like it is horrible, right?
Yeah.
Statutory rape is pretty dang horrible. But for Giuliani, I think this is where it's a real danger zone for Barr, because we learned that the career federal prosecutors at the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office wanted these search warrants for Giuliani months ago under Barr's tenure, and it looks like Barr blocked them. Now, of course, we know there is ample evidence to support these search warrants, and now that Barr's gone, the search warrants have been issued. This sweeps Barr up in potential criminal corruption because it looks like he may have obstructed justice in the Giuliani investigation. And I think it's sweet irony that Bill Barr, remember the guy who opened the investigation into the investigators when Donald Trump told him to? Well, now the guy who opened the investigation into the investigators is going to be investigated. So, you know,
cue
it's a
Dr.
whole lot of investigation.
Cue Dr. Evil laughter again for a moment. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Also, karma for Marie Yovanovitch. I mean, it goes on and on, right? Doesn't it? I mean, and Bill Barr, who himself obstructed justice in the Mueller probe, right? I mean, I just hope, Glenn, that it all comes out because it all seems interconnected, doesn't it? I mean, it's just it is all coming out. It's all coming out courtesy of Merrick Garland. Right? Look at what that man has been doing. I've called him a quiet storm from the moment he was nominated. I mean, whether it's opening pattern or practice investigations into police departments, bringing civil rights cases, being prepared to do the right thing in the event the jury in Minneapolis got it wrong with Derek Chauvin and company. I mean, this man, look at what he's doing. He doesn't care about the criticism that's going to come. He's just doing the right thing. And I think that has got to make us all feel good. I knew they would live to rue the day they blocked him from the Supreme Court. You said Merrick Garland is putting the justice back into the Department of Justice. And you just said the FBI raid was one giant step on the road to justice. Obviously, your famous hashtag, justice is coming. And I got to tell you, Glenn, I get it on Twitter and elsewhere. People are afraid to believe it because they've gotten away with so much. And it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. That any of these people end up going to prison or yada, yada, yada. I mean, what you just brought up, it's the first time I've heard someone say it, that Rudy Giuliani probably has a pocket pardon. But I wouldn't be surprised either, Glenn. And I just, again, I have to hope that hashtag justice still is coming anyway. Because, I mean, it's extraordinary, right? Like, is there going to be a separate counterintelligence investigation now with this other bombshell that, Giuliani, Ron Johnson were warned they were in a Russian disinformation campaign. I mean, I said this earlier, Glenn, but this isn't lobbying, right? Working with one of America's enemies to attack our democracy. What is that? I don't know if I'm overusing the word treason, but what is that?
This is not just rough and tumble politics. This is criminal. This is the antithesis of our democracy. It's the antithesis of national security. But I mean, I think we can actually say with confidence, given Merrick Garland, who will it looks like unflinchingly go after this stuff. I mean, justice really is coming.
Good. Hi. How are you?
Good morning.
Okay.
Lots going on.
Yes.
Yes.
So, nerd. It's a state of the. I don't care what they say. It's State of the Union speech. It's whatever. The first
time in
speech.
front of a full Congress.
Right. Yeah. So, they are advancing emergency workplace safety rules to prevent the spread of coronavirus after weeks of delay. So they've sent these safety standards to the Office of Management and Budget. That's the first step before they are released publicly and go into effect. I know that they want to get it right, Carlos. They're looking at. This is what drives me crazy. Is people are like, oh, now look, they're flip-flopping on masks. It's like, no, we're following the data and the science and every step of the way.
Constantly change it. It's not a constant. You don't get it perfect the first time.
Right.
Yeah. No, exactly. And we were saying, we're still having, I just said to these guys, I'm still going to wear my mask hiking because it's fairly crowded there. And it's hard to control people getting within 6 feet of me. I can control, but again, people are expelling a lot more air and stuff when they're exercising. So, again, it's your comfort level. But again, the key, Carlos, is if you're vaccinated, you can do X, Y, Z, right?
Correct. And what you're doing, Stephanie, is that even though they lowered the speed limit from 55 to 45, you're going to continue to wear your seatbelt. because
Thank
it's
you.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And drive the speed limit.
Yes.
And the point is, you care about either. Fauci said it this morning on CNN with the Joe Rogan thing. You have to think in terms of societal, not personal benefit, but societal benefit. I can't say it this morning because I've taken vaccine number 5,324. Societal benefit over personal benefit, and that's what you're doing, Stephanie. You continue to wear your mask because you don't want to spread it to other people.
Yes, but also, Carlos, speaking of Joe Rogan, because we've been talking about it, it's just so stupid. Scientifically, it shows no understanding of viruses or vaccines or herd immunity, and it's wrong. There are plenty of younger, healthy triathletes, marathoners that got COVID. You know, in some cases died, in some cases had serious outcomes. So to tell young people, oh, you don't need to get it, your immune system's fine. You don't know that. Right?
Psychologically speaking.
And you could pass it to someone else that will die, even if you don't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What it is this false sense of individualism, of ruggedness, of John Muirism, like, I'm not like everybody else. I'm healthy and I don't have to do it, which is devoid of science. It's a fantasy. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry. You don't have power over this virus or the ability to spread it. You just don't. Whatever you think you believe, where I'm in good shape and I'm a man and it's masculine, the virus doesn't care.
No,
The
I was just
science
saying,
doesn't care.
I've been talking a lot about my anti-vaxxer friend who I finally talked to yesterday. She was like, you're not going to get with your immune system. And I'm like, that's just dumb. And of course I did get it. And, you know, hardly anybody exercises as much and eats as healthy as I do. I don't even drink. Here's the other thing. I don't even drink wine anymore. Look at this story, Travis, that I found. Can you have alcohol?
My gosh. The world is flat.
Can you have alcohol after the COVID vaccine? See, if I was still drinking, I would have emphasized totally different parts of this story. But they're saying, can alcohol interfere with your immune response? The short answer is it depends on how much you drink. There's no evidence that having a drink or two can render any of the current COVID vaccines less effective. But some studies have even found that over the longer term, small or moderate amounts of alcohol might actually benefit the immune system by reducing inflammation. That's the part I would have keyed on if I were still drinking. However, heavy alcohol consumption, particularly over the long term, can suppress the immune system and potentially interfere with your vaccine response. So moderation, that was the thing. I was like, oh, a glass. That's moderate drinking, generally defined as no more than 2 drinks a day for men and 1 drink a day for women. That was the bugaboo for me. Heavy drinking defined as 4 or more drinks any day for a man or 3 or more drinks for women. A standard drink, 5 ounces of wine. That's, who even knew it came in that small an amount? I don't, okay.
What? It's not heavy if somebody else lifts the bottle for you.
One thing is clear from the studies that heavy alcohol consumption impairs the immune response and increases your susceptibility to bacterial and viral infections. So, I mean, but Carlos, you were saying it's just the science obviously is, that's why it's called the novel coronavirus. And no, idiots, there were not 18 before COVID-19. It's called 19 because it started in 2019. Right. And so that's what we're still learning. And again, you know, when you say the transmission's lower outside, Carlos, it's still 10%, which means it's not zero, your chance of getting it. It's just, so there is risk. You know, our vaccines are 95% effective, but they're not 100% effective. Right. So it's, you know, Anyway, it's still your level of risk that you want to take.
This is why I tweeted thusly, you don't turn your lights on in a gray day, a rainy day to make visibility better for yourself. That's a benefit. You do it because other people can see you and you keep everyone safer.
Right.
That's the reason to turn your lights on when it's gray outside. That's also the reason to get vaccinated. Yes, it'll help keep you a little healthier, but it'll also protect other people.
Right.
Americans tend to think, what's in it for me? That's why we take our shoes off when we go through the airport security. That's why we do those things. We've accepted that makes us all safer.
Don't make me tell the sheep story again. Viruses, like most of us, want to live. If they don't find a host in vaccinated people, they are going to go to unvaccinated people. That's how it's going to continue to spread and mutate, right? It's you know, that's the problem, is that you are much more likely to get it and spread it, even asymptomatically, if you're not vaccinated. So you're putting yourself and everyone else in danger. And it's just, I don't know. All right.
Yeah, that's like Joe Rogan being on the ship in Alien going, I'm not going to kill that face hugger. It's not going to hurt me. I'm in shape. But these other guys on the ship, okay.
Right.
Yeah, there's John Hurt over there. He looks very sickly.
Not me.
looks skinny.
Okay. Carlos, I know you were a Liz fan. Did you vote for Elizabeth Warren in the primary?
Not in this primary. No, I voted for Pete Buttigieg in this primary.
Oh,
I
okay.
voted for Bernie. But I love Elizabeth Warren,
Yeah.
obviously. So,
But anyway,
yes, I did not vote for her, but I like her.
Okay. The stuff that Biden is doing is wildly popular across the board. They're trying to use that as AOC and Elizabeth Warren like what he's doing, so it's socialism, right? Okay. Elizabeth Warren, here she is.
He ran on a progressive agenda.
Yes, he did.
He talked about things like Build Back Better and saying that the rich have to pay a fair share on their taxes. And now he is meeting that moment. He was out there with a big rescue package that was exactly what America needed.
By the way, Travis, is this some sort of gotcha story? So Politico...
Which one?
The Biden administration, it's some secret memo that was exclusively obtained by somebody. The Biden White House has a message for congressional Democrats and allies. Eating the rich is popular, so act like it. It says we need to restore basic fairness to the tax code and in the process generate revenue to invest in our competitiveness, children, and economy, and the American people agree. The memo entitled The American People Support President Biden's Tax Proposals, which is shocking because the American people support the president's tax proposal. So that's a shocking headline. It spotlights several recent polls showing majority support for raising capital gains tax on those who make over $1 million a year and for raising corporate taxes. I don't think this is some sort of scandalous, ooh. I mean, yes,
No,
this is what he's always said.
is.
The rich need to pay their fair share. No one that makes under $400,000 a year will ever be affected, period.
I think part of what this is, it's not a gotcha story. It's that we need to not be afraid to be on message on things like this. That's a popular policy. Like they said, this is a popular policy. Democrats, when they say taxes, they're like, oh, we can't say taxes. That scares our voters away.
Right.
No.
By the way,
embrace it. Lean into
who-
it like we do with Obamacare. Lean into all of these things.
Guess who makes under $400,000 a year? Almost all of us. It's the top 1% make over $400,000. It's just like, ay. Okay, Senator Warren.
Now he's coming forward with a big infrastructure package that is exactly what America needs. So I see the president as meeting what America needs now. He is truly serving this country.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm kind of nerding out about tonight, Carlos. Are you excited about the first speech?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the first person to go, you lie.
Oh my God, Marjorie
there's gonna
Taylor
be
Greene. You know she's gonna. Oh my God.
It's gonna be her or
She's
Boehner
fair.
or Boebert or whatever her name is. Yeah, it's just they're gonna want to spotlight themselves as the front runners for 2024 if Trump happens to.
QAnon, Betty and Veronica are probably gonna get into a hair pulling fight. Just who gets to be the biggest a-hole at the state of the whatever.
Someone from the administration was on, I think, Morning Joe this morning, and they said, the speech is a little long. We've been trying to get him to pare it down just a little bit.
Oh, can we send Sean?
wrap it
Can we
up.
send Sean? Sean does, because Sean does this when he's kind of serious, when he's medium serious, and then when he does this.
Yeah, apparently it's like Clinton length.
Oh,
So
playing the Oscar music.
Clinton length, yeah, you like that, don't you? Clinton length, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
a lot of people like the
Stephanie.
Clinton length.
some people like Clinton length.